On Christmas Eve of 2002, the quiet city of Modesto, California, was thrown into a nightmare that would grip the nation for years to come. Laci Peterson, a vibrant 27-year-old woman who was 8 months pregnant with her first child, vanished without a trace. The news of her disappearance initially brought a wave of hope and concern, as her family, friends, and neighbors united to search for the beloved woman who seemed to embody everything wholesome and good. But as days turned into weeks and months, the search for Laci unraveled into a dark and shocking tale, one of love, betrayal, and murder. This is the story of Laci Peterson, the investigation into her disappearance, and the trial that gripped a nation. Laci Denise Rocha was born on May 4, 1975, in Modesto, California. She was the youngest of 2 children born to Sharon and Dennis Rocha. Her parents divorced when Laci was still a child, but despite this, she enjoyed a happy and stable upbringing, surrounded by a loving family. Laci had a magnetic personality, and her radiant smile often lit up a room. Those who knew her described her as kind-hearted, cheerful, and deeply devoted to her family and friends. After high school, Laci attended California Polytechnic State University, where she studied ornamental horticulture. It was during her college years that she met Scott Peterson. Scott, who was studying agricultural business at the same university, was charismatic and ambitious. He was the kind of man who seemed to charm everyone he met. Laci quickly fell for him, and their romance blossomed. By 1997, they were married in a beautiful ceremony that brought together their families and friends. The couple appeared to have a picture-perfect life. They settled in Modesto, purchased a cozy home on Covina Avenue, and began building a future together. Laci took pride in decorating their home, creating a warm and inviting space. By late 2002, they were eagerly awaiting the arrival of their first child, a boy they had already named Connor. But behind the facade of a happy marriage, trouble was brewing. Scott Peterson, despite his charm, harbored secrets. He had begun an affair with Amber Frey, a massage therapist he met in November 2002. Scott had told Amber that he was single, painting himself as a man looking for love. Meanwhile, Laci was unaware of her husband's double life, blissfully preparing for the birth of their son. As the holiday season approached, she was excited to spend Christmas with her family and celebrate the joys of motherhood that awaited her. Then, on December 24, 2002, everything changed. That morning, Scott claimed he left their home around 9:30 a.m. to go fishing at Berkeley Marina, approximately 90 miles away. He said Laci planned to stay home, bake cookies, and take their golden retriever, Mackenzie, for a walk in the neighborhood park. When Scott returned home later that afternoon, he found Mackenzie wandering the neighborhood with her leash still attached, but Laci was nowhere to be found. He claimed he assumed she was visiting her mother or running errands. When Laci's family confirmed they hadn't seen her, concern quickly escalated. By that evening, Laci was officially reported missing, and the search for her began. The Modesto Police Department acted swiftly, launching a full-scale investigation. Friends, neighbors, and volunteers joined the search efforts, distributing flyers and scouring parks, fields, and waterways for any sign of Laci. Her family, particularly her mother, Sharon Rocha, was vocal in their efforts to keep Laci's name in the public eye, appearing on television and pleading for her safe return. As the days passed, the case gained national attention. Laci's disappearance struck a chord with the public, and the media quickly latched onto the story. Her glowing photos, coupled with the heartbreaking fact that she was 8 months pregnant, captured the nation's sympathy. While Laci's family was desperate for answers, Scott's behavior raised eyebrows. From the beginning, he seemed strangely calm and detached, even as the search for his wife intensified. He avoided media and refrained from participating in the search efforts in any meaningful way. His lack of emotion was baffling to those close to Laci, and suspicions about his involvement began to grow. It didn't help that his alibi, that he had gone fishing alone on Christmas Eve, seemed odd and difficult to verify. As investigators dug deeper into Scott's life, they uncovered a shocking revelation that would shift the course of the case entirely. On December 30, 2002, a woman named Amber Frey came forward with a bombshell. She contacted the police and revealed that she had been in a romantic relationship with Scott Peterson for several weeks. Amber had no idea that Scott was married, let alone that his pregnant wife was missing. To her horror, she realized she had been dating a man whose wife's disappearance was dominating the news. Amber cooperated fully with the police, providing them with recorded phone conversations she had with Scott. In these calls, Scott had lied to Amber, telling her he was a widower and that this would be his first Christmas without his wife. The revelation of Scott's affair turned public opinion against him almost overnight. The media pounced on the story, painting Scott as a cold and calculating man who had betrayed his wife in the most egregious way. For many, it was unthinkable that a man whose wife and unborn child were missing could carry on an affair without a shred of remorse. The recordings Amber provided were played for the public, further solidifying Scott's image as a liar and a manipulator. Investigators now had a clear motive to pursue. Scott wanted out of his marriage and saw Laci's disappearance as a way to start a new life. Despite the mounting suspicion around Scott, there was no concrete evidence tying him to Laci's disappearance. Months passed with no significant breakthroughs. Then, in April 2003, the case took a devastating turn. A couple walking their dog along the San Francisco Bay discovered the remains of a baby washed ashore. The following day, the torso of an adult woman was found nearby. The remains were badly decomposed, but DNA testing confirmed what everyone feared. The bodies were those of Laci Peterson and her unborn son, Connor. The location of the remains was damning. They were found just miles from Berkeley Marina, where Scott had claimed to be fishing on the day Laci disappeared. This discovery was a turning point in the investigation. On April 18, 2003, Scott Peterson was arrested and charged with 2 counts of murder, one for Laci and one for Connor. When police apprehended him, Scott's behavior was again suspicious. He was found near San Diego, driving a car filled with $15,000 in cash, camping equipment, 4 cell phones, and his brother's ID. Authorities believed he was planning to flee to Mexico. Scott's trial began in June 2004 and quickly became a media circus. The prosecution argued that Scott had killed Laci in their home, transported her body to the marina, and dumped it into the bay. They painted a picture of a man who saw his wife and unborn child as obstacles to his freedom. The evidence against Scott was largely circumstantial, but it was compelling. His affair with Amber Frey, his suspicious behavior, and the location of the bodies all pointed to his guilt. The defense, however, maintained that Scott was innocent. They argued there was no physical evidence tying him to the crime and suggested that someone else could have killed Laci and framed Scott. After 5 months of testimony and 9 days of deliberation, the jury reached a verdict. On November 12, 2004, Scott Peterson was found guilty of first-degree murder for Laci and second-degree murder for Connor. The following March, he was sentenced to death by lethal injection. The courtroom was filled with emotion as the verdict was read. Laci's family wept, feeling a sense of justice for their daughter and grandson. Scott's family, however, continued to insist on his innocence and vowed to appeal the conviction. The Laci Peterson case left an indelible mark on American culture. It sparked discussions about marriage, infidelity, and domestic violence, and it highlighted the vulnerabilities of pregnant women who are disproportionately at risk of intimate partner violence. Over the years, the case has been the subject of countless books, documentaries, and podcasts. In 2020, Scott Peterson's death sentence was overturned due to procedural errors during jury selection, though his conviction remains intact. His legal team continues to fight for a new trial, citing alleged flaws in the investigation and jury misconduct. Amid the legal battles and media frenzy, it's important to remember who Laci Peterson was: a vibrant young woman with dreams of motherhood, a loving family, and a life full of promise. Her story is a tragic reminder of the darkness that can lurk behind a seemingly perfect life and the devastating impact of betrayal and violence. As her family continues to honor her memory, Laci's name remains a symbol of resilience and the pursuit of justice. Thank you for watching. Subscribe for more chilling tales. YouTube, Creepy Corner Stories. Instagram, Creepy Corner Stories 1. TikTok, Creepy Corner Stories 1. Sweet dreams, if you dare.